Somewhere out on the world's oceans right now, there's basically a floating city, a 45,000-ton steel fortress that's a home, a workplace, and a massive symbol of military power for thousands of Americans. These are amphibious assault ships, and today we're going to go inside one of these floating fortresses to see what life is really like for the officers in charge.
Okay, let's just start with this number, 45,000 tons. It's kind of hard to even wrap your head around how big that is. To put it in perspective for you, these modern American warships are as big or even bigger than the aircraft carriers that many other countries operate. They are just colossal instruments of power.
But for all the incredible hardware, the F-35s on the flight deck, the Marines down below, the real story is about the people. The men and women who spend months and months at a time inside these steel walls. What is their day-to-day life actually like? That's the question we're really digging into today.
So, here's our game plan. We'll kick things off with the sheer scale of these ships. Then we'll dive into the pretty surprising reality of their living quarters. After that, we'll look at the relentless work schedule, the social hub of the wardroom, a recent tech revolution that's changing everything, and we'll finish up with the very serious challenges facing the fleet today.
First up, let's really get a handle on just how massive these vessels are. I mean, they're the absolute backbone of the U.S. Navy's amphibious force. The number of people crammed onto one of these ships is just staggering. If you look at the two main classes, the Wasp and the newer America class, you've got about 66 officers leading over 1,000 sailors. And then you add almost 2,000 Marines. That's nearly 3,000 people living and working on a single ship. And you can see the evolution here. The America class is specifically optimized for the F-35 fighter, which tells you everything about the priority of air power. All right, let's go from that massive, powerful exterior to the surprisingly cramped interior. It's time to bust that Hollywood myth of what an officer's cabin looks like. We've all seen it in the movies, right? The naval officer has this respectable private room with a desk, maybe a porthole looking out at the sea, plenty of space to think. It looks comfortable, professional, almost quiet.
Yeah, the reality is a whole different world. For most officers, their stateroom is doing triple duty. It's their office, it's their lounge, and it's their bedroom. The bunks are often stacked 3 high, and the only privacy you get is the little curtain you can pull around your rack.
So just how cramped are we talking? Well, it can be up to 8. That's right, 8 junior officers sharing a single room. Just think about that for a second. At any given moment, you might have one person trying to sleep after a watch, another person trying to get some work done, and a third just trying to find enough floor space to get changed. And these living quarters tell you everything you need to know about the hierarchy on board. While all the junior officers are crammed together sharing communal bathrooms, or heads as they're called, there's one person who gets a very different setup. The commanding officer, the CO, has a private suite. But get this is the most telling detail. The CO suite has the only private bathroom on the entire ship. For everybody else, well, let's just say you get very good at coordinating schedules.
So their living space is tight, but what about their time? A warship never ever sleeps, and neither do the demands on its crew. Let's talk about the relentless 24/7 grind. The whole rhythm of life is built around watch rotations. An officer will spend, say, 4 to 6 hours on watch, responsible for everything from navigating the ship to monitoring complex engineering systems. And the time in between, that's not downtime. That's your window to try and get some sleep, grab a meal, and then tackle what former officers literally call mountains of paperwork. We're talking training reports, evaluations, supply requests. The list just goes on and on.
And you'd think maybe when the ship pulls into port for maintenance, things chill out a bit, right? Nope, you would be wrong. The schedule actually gets worse. Every third day, an officer works a full day, stands watch through the night, and then works another full day. That's basically a 36-hour workday.
And this isn't just about feeling tired. This has a real physiological cost. Let this quote really sink in. Scientific studies have shown that the fatigue from working just one midnight watch impairs your thinking as much as having a blood alcohol content of 0.05. Now, just imagine doing that over and over, while you're responsible for a billion-dollar warship and the lives of thousands of people. So with all that pressure, all that fatigue, where do the officers go to decompress and just connect with each other? Well, there's one space on the ship that is exclusively theirs, the wardroom. The wardroom is so much more than just a cafeteria. It is the absolute center of officer life. It's where they eat, it's where they try to relax, it's where they spread out all that paperwork on the big tables, and most importantly, it's where they build the kind of camaraderie that's absolutely essential to lead effectively.
And the culture inside the wardroom is filled with all these unique traditions. For one thing, unlike enlisted sailors, officers actually pay for their own food out of a mess fund. Little perks, like getting a freshly made-to-order omelet, become a huge deal when you've been at sea for weeks. There are also unwritten rules. Traditionally, you stay away from talking about politics, religion, or sex. But here's the wildest part. During an emergency, the entire space transforms into a medical station, with the dining tables ready to be used as operating tables.
Okay, so everything we've talked about so far, the cramped rooms, the tough schedule, that's been the reality of naval life for decades. But starting in 2024, something happened that completely fundamentally changed the game.
The difference here is literally night and day. Before, if you wanted to talk to your family, you were waiting in these long lines for a satellite phone or using clunky, super slow email. Officers could go for weeks with basically no real contact with home. Now, thanks to a new program using high-speed Starlink internet, they have real, actual connectivity. We're talking daily video calls, instant messages, sharing photos in real time.
And this isn't just a cool tech upgrade. It's a massive boost to morale. The human impact is just profound. Just listen to what this one officer had to say about it. Being able to see his daughter's pictures every day, to have that constant connection, it lets sailors and officers focus on the mission because they know their family is okay. It is a true game changer.
So personal connectivity, that quality of life, is taking this huge leap forward. It's incredible. But while that digital connection to home is getting stronger, there's a pretty sobering reality about the physical condition of the fleet itself.
Okay, take a look at this. This comes from the Navy's own assessment in late 2024, and it's not good. Half of the entire amphibious fleet, that's 16 out of 32 ships, is rated as being in poor material condition. What that means is they are not on track to last as long as they're supposed to because of delayed maintenance and just worn-out systems. So what does poor condition actually look like in the real world? It looks like this number. Between 2010 and 2021, maintenance and repairs ran so far behind schedule that the fleet lost a cumulative 28.5 years of operational time. That's almost 3 decades of lost time that they couldn't be training or deploying because the ships were stuck in the shipyard. And that brings us to the final, really critical question. The Navy has made this huge leap forward in taking care of its people, bridging that gap of loneliness with technology. But at the exact same time, there's this massive maintenance gap that threatens the readiness of these floating fortresses. So the challenge is immense. How will the Navy bridge one gap without letting the other one sink the entire mission?